Throughout my years of playing good and shitty games, I've never felt such a mix of love and hate for any games like I do for Dead by Daylight. Wait, can I say dead on the internet? Is it too insensitive of a word for social media? Maybe I should say unalived by daylight? I'll just say dbD. Anyway, if I explain dbD in a nutshell, it may sound good on paper, genius in fact. Then you play it and it seems awesome, although there's some jank. Then you realize a lot of the game is built on jank. Though no matter what anyone says, it is the first of its kind, which means it has inspired other games in the genre, both good and bad, and it deserves respect just for that. But does it deserve to run on your deck? Let's enter the trials and escape before daylight to find out. What is this game about? dbD is an asymmetric survival horror game. A game of cat and mouse, where you can play as either sides, the psychotic and unhinged cat, or the terrified mice. One player is some licensed killer from some famous franchise, and their job is to hunt, hook, and ultimately off the other 4 players, who are the survivors. Their job is to not get hunted, hooked, and ultimately offed before activating 5 generators. And escaping before getting hooked 3 times and being sent to heaven. You know, I never understood why the entity doesn't drag you down to hell or limbo or anywhere but fucking heaven. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, there are some original killers too, made for the game's lore, but nobody cares about those ones. Essentially, it's one of those crossover games, like Smash Bros, Marvel vs. Capcom, and Mario and Rabbids, except it's nothing like any of those games. It's straight up horror and you've never played anything like it before. And I mean that in both a good and bad way. Gameplay. The gameplay, objective, and mechanics to the game itself vary on which side you choose to play. On one hand, or two, you hold a weapon as a killer. Your objective is to hunt down survivors before they can escape. Each survivor has 2 HP bars before they get knocked down temporarily. Then they must be carried and hooked 3 times to be down permanently, paradoxically. Alternatively, if you have your killer's signature finisher called a Mori, then you can off the survivor the second you knock them down for the 3rd time. Talk about a hack. What's the downside to the killer using this? Nothing. I mean, one of the biggest complaints is how lopsided the game is in favor of the fucking killers. It's like, here's an example. Each killer comes with their own unique skill set, mechanics, and speeds at which they can move. This makes playing each killer feel unique. The survivors, on the other hand, all feel the fucking same. Like being able to play as them was an afterthought by the developers, and this game was just supposed to be a fucking killer simulator. There are cons to playing as killers. They must play in first-person view, which can make things a bit tricky when trying to spot the survivors roaming around, which is the whole point. On the other hand, you can play as the survivors, if you still fucking want to. Armed with various items in hand like medkits, flashlights, and toolboxes, you must reserve your resources strategically to survive as long as possible while finding and repairing at least 5 out of the 7 generators randomly placed around each map. Yeah, 7. As in, 85% of the generators must be activated. Now, each survivor doesn't really stand out from another, however each one does get 3 unique perks. But the thing is, you can equip all perks on any survivor anyway. And no survivor has an actual core mechanic that separates each one from another like with the killers. And every survivor moves at the same exact base speed, so you're basically just picking skins. No pun intended. Now there is one thing that the survivors have the killers don't. Unlike the fucking killers, you play in 3rd person. So there's a fucking plus. Definitely the one thing I can say sucks about the killer is having to play in 1st person. It's put that way intentionally, so that way it's harder to find the survivors. But Jesus fucking Christ, is it annoying. It is the main reason why I don't play as killer. I'm gonna finish this section off with one more advantage that survivors have over the killers, which is communication. You can use Discord or any other kind of voice chat to communicate with your entire party to strategize. The funny thing is, there's no actual in-game voice chat, because, you know, fuck the survivors. You know, even if they try to make the game realistic, it's like, why not just give the fucking survivors walkie-talkies? Anyway, On to the next section.
Steam Deck compatibility.
This game runs at 60 FPS on max graphics settings, so performance isn't an issue at all. The biggest problem of playing on deck is using voice chat. Discord doesn't work great with deck because it's not optimized to, so it drains the battery more than it should. It can be glitchy and just feels clunky as fuck to navigate. It runs good enough to use though. It's just frustrating compared to playing on console or PC. The killers don't face this problem for obvious reasons. I mean, who are they gonna talk to, themselves?
Being caught talking to yourself can feel embarrassing, and some people even stigmatize this behavior as a sign of mental instability.
By the way, the game does need the internet to be played, so unless you have a hotspot playing portably outside of your home, it can be impossible. Besides, this game is supposed to be scary, and I find it hard to be afraid inside of a well-lit internet cafe. I digress. Bottom line, don't buy this game on deck unless you like playing at home. Also, make sure you turn the lights off, open your closet door slightly, then lay in bed with one foot hanging off. Trust me, it adds creepiness and enhances the experience.
Graphics.
Normally I don't give a fuck about graphics, but for the sake of this review and the type of game this is, I think it's important we talk about this. The graphics look great, even on deck, which is a plus for various reasons, like eye strain and appeal, but most importantly is because each match as a survivor is supposed to feel intimidating, like you're really there, vulnerable, afraid, and the graphics really bring that experience to life. That's right, I said something nice about this game, and we're only 6 minutes in. Sound plays a huge role in this game, actually. More than any game I've ever played. You need to wear headphones, in fact, so you can hear footsteps playing as the killer, and your heart pound playing as a survivor. The faster your heart pounds, the faster you need to get the fuck out of there. It really is unique and gives the game novelty. The main soundtrack to the game is catchy as fuck, although repetitive. I hate it. I fucking hate it. But when it plays, it gets stuck in my fucking head.
Pros and cons.
Let's get the bad out of the way. Cons. This game drains the fuck out of your battery. You're looking at about 2 hours of gameplay without having a Bluetooth headset connected, and headphones are essential to play. Plus you gotta run Discord in another window on your deck to communicate with your friends. So that's another 20 minutes cut from your playtime. So with all that, you're looking at about 1 hour and a half of playtime. You could use your phone for Discord, but then you need to have 2 headsets on. One for the phone and chat, and one for the deck playing dbD. Pros. You can play it in bed. This may sound counterintuitive after what I just said. I enjoyed my time more on deck than console. I don't use deck for its portability as much as the majority of players do, so half the issues are cut off for me.
But does it run on deck?
Well, unfortunately, yes, because now I don't have a fucking excuse to not play this shit with my friends. But for those of you who want to play it, good for you. It gets the green dot Dex Play approval. In conclusion, I've never experienced any problems running it on deck. Any issues I face is because of this fucking game itself. Would I recommend this game? No, probably not, but I'm bad at it, so maybe I'm just salty. Dead by Daylight, dbD, is a unique experience regardless. It's subjectively bad, so take that with a grain of salt. There's no actual things about the game that make it really that bad. There's some jank here and there, but it's not groundbreaking or game breaking. It's just makes me want to break the game. That's it. That's it for the review. Thank you for watching, listening. Dex Play.